This is Dr. T with Hope Serenity Health Services. We are a women's mental health agency here in Central Florida, and I am so thrilled today to be meeting with one of our newest clinicians, Mahtaab. I had the honor of connecting with Mahtaab when she was in her graduate program, was interested in doing her internship here, and unfortunately, just with timing, there wasn't space. But she kept us in mind and she reached out to me just a little bit ago, and I was so excited to see her email. I was so excited that she kept us in mind, and I am thrilled that she has joined the HNS family. And so I would love, Matab, for you to just take a moment, share with people uh, who you are and what led you to seek out HNS.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. T, for that. The pleasure is all mine. I am so excited to finally get the opportunity to work under you. I remember when I saw, your name on like our approved listings and I searched you up and I was like, I knew it. This was the place for me, but it didn't work out then, but I'm glad it's worked out now. But yeah, I just, I'm in this field because I think relationships are so dear, especially with whether it's like with family, with friends, whether it's a romantic relationship. So that's kind of what led me into this field,
Mm,
um, into this direction. I think especially when like COVID hit,
mm,
that's when I realized like mental health was on the rise. Relationships were breaking. People were spending a lot more time together because everyone was homebound. And that's when I was like I wanted to explore a different career path. I was majoring in chemistry at that time, so
mm,
it was a major shift. But I just knew that I wanted to make a difference, do something that would benefit people. And that's kind of also when I started individual therapy. And I realized I'm like, okay, like, I think this is something beneficial. This is something that would really help people find themselves, be able to navigate through life. And yeah, that's kind of what led me here to this path.
wow, that is amazing, especially shifting from chemistry. I know quite a few people made career changes, thought about things differently when COVID happened. And I mean, truly, life trajectories shifted in so many ways. To shift from chemistry to marriage and family therapy, I think we want a little bit more background. Tell us, where were you headed in the field of chemistry?
Yeah, so I was actually majoring in chemistry because my final goal was to be a chemistry and math high school teacher.
Mm,
I lived in Toronto at that time, so um, the law over there was I had to get my undergrad in the subjects I wanted to teach and then go into teachers college. So it's a little bit longer over there. So my end goal was that the reason I went into teaching was it was also because I felt my high school teachers shaped my experience. So that's what I really was hoping to do. And
mm,
on the side, I'm like, okay, well, I like chemistry and math, so I'll just be a chemistry and math teacher, right?
mhm,
So shifting to this career path still felt like I was still helping people just the way I wanted to. I still
mm,
felt like I would be able to make a difference in people's lives just as I would as a teacher. It's just the chemistry part is what I just kind of left behind.
mhm,
Mm, I do miss chemistry though. I do really miss the labs, and when I see people in high school talk about their chemistry exam or they're stressing about it, and I just think about it, and I'm like, it would have been nice, but to be a teacher, but I'm
Mm.
happy with where I am for sure.
Ah, we are happy to have you in the field. And I have to say, being a therapist and an educator, because I'm also in higher ed as an instructor, I find I do a lot of teaching as a
Mhm.
therapist, and I know that you're experiencing that as well. We have a component of our therapeutic practice, which is psychoeducation, which is all about giving people education and information for the whys, behind the whys, and helping them to understand. And so, great thing, you can still bring in your passion for teaching married with the passion for doing this healing work.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I feel like it's kind of like the best of both worlds coming together,
Mm.
right? So
Mhm.
it works, and it's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'm always curious because I'm not originally from Florida. You said you came from Toronto to Florida. And so how has your journey been?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I've actually moved around quite a bit. I grew up in Tanzania. So I was born there. And then when I was 13, my parents decided it was time to, look for more in terms of education. So
Mm,
that's when we decided to move to Toronto.
mm,
I did my high school there, my undergrad there. My parents were from the US, like they lived in the US before they got married.
mhm,
So the US was kind of always like our final destination.
mm,
So then when COVID hit, we were like, okay, I think it's time to go back to the US, and I have a lot
mhm,
of family over here. So naturally we gravitated to Florida. And that's kind of how I ended up here. I didn't like it in the beginning,
mm,
right? Because I came from like such a busy city. It was hustle bustle.
uh,
Coming to Orlando, where life was pretty slow. I realized I can't go anywhere without driving, which was a big adjustment.
yeah.
But now, it's been 4 years I'm here, and I realize if you want to live an active life, you just have to make it happen.
Mm,
Right. So, in a way, I think that change was good because it pushed me to be like, okay, well, if you want to lead your life a certain way, you got to make that happen. You can rely on your environment to be active so that you're active.
mm,
Uh, so,
yeah.
yeah, that's just kind of been my whole journey hopping the different countries.
Yeah. Very exciting. Very, very exciting. Something that you named, I wanted to drill down on a little bit more. You talked about having an active life and you have to make it happen, which is so true. I couldn't agree with you more. Again, as someone who came from cities that were really busy and you could hop on a, light rail or metro or whatever it is and get where you wanted to go. And here, no. You have to get in the car and drive and be intentional about where you wanna go. Um, but also in your background is yoga, and it's one of my favorite ways of being active. I love it. I called it my therapy. I love it. I would love for you to share how you found yourself moving into the space of yoga and how you utilize that to help others or apply that to your work.
Yeah. So I became a yoga instructor in 2021, so right after COVID.
Mhm,
So when I was in high school, that's when I first started doing yoga. I used to go for hot yoga with my mom once a week. And I think I was like in 11th grade or 10th grade when I started. And that's when, life started getting a little stressful with like exam season, midterms. And I would always find that when I would go for that 1 hour class, I just felt like the moment I entered that class, I just forgot everything. I forgot about school, I forgot about my assignments. And when I came out, I just felt so refreshed, right? And I was like, okay, now I could think clearly. I could be like, okay, I love writing to-do lists. So I'm like, now I can write my to-do list without stressing. And then the more I would do it, that's when I thought about it. I'm like, maybe I should become an instructor because I was like, I really enjoy this.
Mm,
And that's when, I did my research and I got the opportunity to do my certification in Dubai. So that was amazing. I was there for 2 months. And at that time I had no intention of becoming a therapist. So I just started off as doing it for myself.
mhm,
I started teaching here and there. And then when I started this program at Stetson, that's when I realized I'm like, a lot of it overlaps, right? Because
mhm,
we talk so much about mental health and about regulating our emotions. And I'm like, well, yoga kind of helps you do that without realizing it, right?
mhm,
So when I started my intern year, I was like, let me try to experiment a few things. So I started doing guided meditations in my session with my clients, and I started getting really positive responses. So then I made it like something I always do. I always end my session with a guided meditation. Just kind of, start with the mind and the shoulders. I go down to the heart, the stomach, all the way down to the feet, just, taking deep breaths, thinking about positive things. I like to theme it sometimes. My most common theme is gratitude. So I always
mhm,
ask the client to, think about something they're grateful for. And I always notice the difference from when they start to the end, just like this glow that they have, right? They seem
mhm,
a lot more calmer. And
mhm,
especially after like such a heavy session talking about, trauma or relationships, and just a lot comes up. So I notice that this really calms them down, and just, helps regulate their emotions. So that's how I've been incorporating it in my therapeutic practice.
That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Many people don't know that if they haven't been to our website, they don't know that we integrate mind body work here. And so we have people who just come to us that want to drop down into their body for some healing. We have people who do breath work and mindfulness, guided meditations. It's just here, there are so many ways, so many paths to healing. It doesn't have to look one way, just talking back and forth. There's so many options, and I love that we have providers such as yourself that can bring many of those beautiful options in. So, thank you for being willing to bring your passion, your craft, your art here as another method of healing for people.
Of course, thank you, for providing that opportunity. And just like how you mentioned, right, that at Hope and Serenity, it's about like the body and the mind and that
Mm,
connection, right? And I think that's kind of what like therapy should be about. Like it's supposed to be like a holistic approach.
mhm,
I think sometimes a lot of people shy away from going to therapy because they feel like, okay, like it's because I have a problem or there's something wrong with me.
mhm,
Right. But I feel like therapy isn't that. That's why I tell all my clients, like, this is your time, this 1 hour that we're together. So we're going to do whatever you need. If you want to talk, we'll talk. If you don't want to talk, we won't talk, right? And I think that's the beauty of it, right? Because it's like you have 1 hour with someone who is just there for you, holding that space. Like, I'm like, where else can you find that, right?
mhm,
Where someone's just willing to actively listen or just be there.
mhm.
So I think that, therapy is something that's for everybody, no matter what you're going through in life. And I honestly feel like when you're not in crisis is when you can benefit a lot because you can grow and you can be like, okay, well, this is where I'm at in life. How can I do more? How can I be better?
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel like it's not just because there's something major going on in life. I think
Yeah.
for everybody.
Mhm. I so agree with you, Mahtab. I so agree. I often look at it as when you go to your doctor for a wellness check. There's nothing wrong. You're not in crisis. And it's a great time for your provider to get a baseline of how things are going when
Mhm.
things are just kind of general in your life. They get to see your blood pressure when you're not stressed. They get to take your temperature when you don't have a fever. They get to run your labs when things are generally okay for you. So that and then they keep a pulse of that so that if something is not quite right, you've had someone that you meet with pretty regularly that holds that space for you, that when they walk in the door or when they log onto the computer, instantly we get to go, huh, something's going on today because we've seen them at their base, at their kind of normal place, what normal looks like for them. And so I love that you name that. It's an hour of someone holding space for you, just being with you, and you make that hour whatever you want to make it. I love that you name that. And I think you're talking a little bit about what people can expect out of therapy with you. So if someone said, all right, they called our office and they said, all right, I want to make an appointment with Matab, and I'm an individual or I'm in a couple situation, a relationship situation, other than they already know that they're going to get the mindfulness, the guided meditation that's going to happen, what else might they expect from session with you?
Yeah. So just a little bit about what I said is like I feel like I try to meet the client where they're at and what they need.
Mhm, mhm,
So I think the beginning, just kind of getting like a little bit a generalized background about them, just so that I can gather some information about for myself. And just like how you mentioned that, the more you see someone, you can read through their energy. So
mhm.
even when they're like, yeah, life's great, but they don't have a smile on their face, you're like, there, something is up,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, just the most important thing is just knowing that, you only share what you're comfortable with, right? There's no obligation to share anything, or
Mhm,
there's no right or wrong answer, right? And that's also the beauty of therapy too, right?
mhm,
Where you can choose to say whatever you want, do whatever you want. And, just again, the most important thing for me is to hold that a safe space where you know that you're not going to be judged. I always tell my clients, I'm never going to be part of your social circle. Right. So
mhm.
even if you tell me something that you think is bizarre, which for me, there is no, for a therapist, there is no level of crazy that you can be like, this is crazy,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So yeah, so I'm like, I don't want them to worry that, okay, like she'll be part of my social circle tomorrow and she'll be silently judging me in front of all my friends, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's something I tell my clients, just like a safe, non-judgmental environment. Because I think safety is so important, especially in today's day and age. I come across a lot of people who live in survival mode.
Mhm,
So knowing that even if they just have that 1 hour where they're safe, I think makes such a big difference. Like it's a start. Right?
mhm,
And that's my hope, is just to help someone to, give them some sort of safety net.
mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Matap. So, so beautiful. I would love for you to, I know we've been talking for a while now, and so I would just love for you to let me know, let the people know if there are any kind of final words or thoughts that you want to share with people who might be thinking about therapy or may not even be thinking about therapy, but just kind of realize they want to make some shifts and changes in their life and they're not sure how to start or what to do. Any guidance or feedback you might give?
Yeah. So I think the first step is always being aware, right? And if someone's already down that path where they know that, okay, I want to do more, or I'm thinking about going to therapy, or literally anything where they're like, I need to start somewhere, that's already a big first step, right? That they know you know that I want to do something more. So
Mhm.
you're already down the right path, right? And it's always the first few steps that are difficult to take. But I promise you, once you take those first few steps, and if you stick to your plan, then you will see, you will see that you will see the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Mhm.
Even in times when it feels completely impossible, right? So just hang in there. Always reach out, even if it's just to a friend or a family member. Look for something that brings you comfort. It can even be like something you can do internally, like journaling, going for a workout class, going on a walk, but anything. Do something that brings you peace and happiness, and just kind of go from there.
Beautiful. Mahtaab, thank you. This was wonderful talking to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being such a light and such peace here at HNS. Again, I'm so honored that you have chosen to spend your professional time here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. T. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you. Have a great one, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.